Oh, there you go. Good evening. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show, and I am your host, Eight Wind, and I am timeless. It all starts with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the continuous ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. I am that one galactic daddy-o sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. Welcome one, welcome all. Crazy Sarge, I saw you was back at it again today. Got the fire department called on me when I'm wearing all the safety stuff, and they said nothing. Have a night to stay. Well, that's all you can do. You got some hater around you. Just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. Hey James, thank you for joining. Uh, Melt a 20 and pour 21 good ones and have some left over in the crumble for tomorrow. Bet. Wow. Bet. They said nothing. They can do everything look safe. Well, that's good. Dang Karens, that's right. That's funny. Oh my goodness, yeah. Kwame Brown nailed it tonight. That mug had 15. I was watching. I'm like, this mug's got 15,000 views. He didn't even know it because they throttled him down. Once he's like, what? 15? Because he was about to stop. Then he's like, 15,000. And then that mug, he's like, oh, we're gonna keep going. And so they went to the garage where they got like a little clubhouse or some shit. And he kept going. And then they throttled him down to 12. But then he made it back up to 14. So he was killing it. Now he might be one of the rare ones. But again, these is all people in the entertainment business. Uh, Remember that kind of thing too, because all publicity is pretty much good publicity. So I don't know. I'm not saying that I disbelieve the brother, but it's interesting. We'll see because it's like this. He's a millionaire and he's taking donations. That's kind of like I'm not saying and like far as his production, what he puts out, there's nothing into it but the phone bill. Sitting in his ride. So it's just off the top of his head and like why now I don't know. Do Jackson and Barnes get donations too, other than the people that sponsor their channels? I can't say. We know that the Breakfast Show, Did you hear when he said, I can probably sue him for libel? I was like, ew. I thought that was interesting. He was like, hey, because what did I say to them? And it's like what he said about Stephen A. Smith going around the country and using him as an example of a bust, kind of bullying him, trying to uplift himself, putting this young man down. And the young man achieved what Stephen A. Smith didn't achieve. And Stephen A. Smith wanted to hoop, got hurt. Plus, he only went to Winston-Salem. I'm like, I just went to A&T. So it wasn't like that was a basketball hotbed unless you was Earl Monroe. And for most people, oh, pop them if you got them, smoke if you want them. I'm just mineral water or magnesium water. And so that's some good points there. That's some good points. Seems like that Byron stuff in him might be a little personal sometimes. But I mean, he fleeced them all again. Uh, it's funny if you follow his cadence. They call each other boys still. That's interesting. Like like if I would refer to my football team, it'd be like the fellas more than the boys. It was like that. We really didn't say that a lot, but I could tell that's just the way he talks. He says it too much because it's in his normal cadence, where he calls people boys and they call each other boys. Where if you went back to my father's generation, even like Ali, that was something that really, I mean, like a joke was, did you say Roy? You know, because again, they show you during Reconstruction when they put in all them laws for Reconstruction, that is where being called the boy. So it's interesting that is like that's what they call each other. Young, and he's 39, so still a relatively young man, but entertaining. But I'll say this: he didn't go to college, but this man's been put through one of the toughest businesses. And so far as his business practice, he got 12 years of that kind of business practice. And then he played for 6 or 7 teams. So he was, after certain points, he was moving around a lot. After a while, that takes a kind of maturity too. But he stayed in the business for 12 years. And again, a bust is a person that maybe a couple years. Like Jamal Russell only played 1 or 2 years and got 30 some million. Well, of course, taxes. And then Ryan Leaf. He's considered the biggest one out of pro football, the worst draft pick. But the whole story of how he was mistreated and still played 12 years. Everybody don't get that. And he was 6'10". So, and I mean, even at 12 years, he was only what, 30, 32 maybe? 18, we'll say 19. 10 would have been 29. Yeah, he probably was still a young man when he had to retire. Remember, he played in the Big Three. Yeah, I remember that. He played in the Big Three. I want to say him and Jackson might have been even on the same team in the Big Three. So it was interesting. Oh, PJ, what's up, PJ? Hey, what's up, PJ? Sorry I didn't see you there. But yeah, what's happening, PJ? Ryan Leaf was caught breaking into houses some years back. It's funny, Ryan Leaf was like an up and down dude. They gave him every chance. He started coaching some junior college, 2-year school. And then he got to tripping on that campus. But that dude, he flamed out the league. He didn't play 12 years. So I don't know if you play 12 years. I mean, the expectations of him being like Magic. No, Magic wasn't even a top pick. Bird was. So I think Big Bennett that went from Canada, Bennett that got drafted by Cleveland, he's out the league. That's kind of a bust. He kind of is playing around the world, Europe. Probably was in China off and on. So the dudes that play a couple years, that them high picks. This dude played 12 years, so he got more than his first original rookie contract. Back when signing, rookies was getting tore off. So I don't imagine he's hurting for money. I don't imagine that, but it's interesting. But yeah, Ryan Leaf home. Hey, Islam Rocky, thank you for joining me. I'll say one funny thing. Ryan Leaf, man, that dude was on pills. He was on a bunch of stuff. They had a little special about him, and he ended up going to prison, I think, for a couple of years. So he was really out of control. And when he signed, he had to get a bunch of bread when he signed. So so it's interesting how people Ethan, what's happening? Jamarcus Russell was a worth draft pick. Well, I think they even put Ryan Leaf above him. But Russell, Jamarcus Russell got that long bread. He got that bread. So can't say everything he did was bad. Yeah, he didn't seem to give a whole lot of care when he went into the league because he had a lot of bread. So okay, there we go. Setting up all the magic. It is another beautiful day here. Well, it rained, but it's still in the 70s. No damage in the general area here tonight or last night. So no one got hurt as far as reports. So that's a kind of a good thing. I'm gonna start off every night and try to throw it in between. But I'm gonna give out card energy every night, and this was tourmaline, black tourmaline, and this is my piece. Took me a couple years before I had enough chips to get it. It was at about $90 for a minute. Really wasn't in the budget. And when it became in the budget and it's naturally terminated, I'm sure I've dropped it and shipped it, I'm sure. But still the natural terminations. Very protective stone. I mean, this with the yeah, it's got will give you a good 16, 17 feet of pretty much protection in every direction. But just depending on how much protection you need too. And so just a little short inference. So this kind of a little thing that out of this book, getting started. Find somewhere quiet where you can be undisturbed and comfortable for 10 to 20 minutes or more. Lie or sit upright on the floor, comfortable. Hold a crystal in your given hand. Feel the energy go through your body. Set an intention for the crystal in this meditation. Visualize those intentions in your details in your mind and imagine this charging up your crystal and purpose to help whatever path you've chosen at this time. Continue holding the crystals in your hands, or you can place them on your chakras. They can clear and strengthen, or simply place them by your side, the magic beside you. Sometime I even I'll put it like between my legs, so it has more of a balanced kind of energy coming at you. Now close your eyes and relax. As with all meditation, begin by focusing on your breathing, which, if you can, allow yourself to take some lovely deep breaths and some slow breaths. Inhale, exhale. Allow the energy of the crystal to have an effect, but don't force it or worry if it doesn't. Just continue relaxing, breathing deeply, and see what unfolds. You may get a strong sense to do something new in your life, and you might have some messages. But yeah, and I'll give more about black tourmaline as the night goes. Oh, I don't understand how people, athletes, can just throw away that flat and opportunity way. Some people just too immature without too much money. Marcus was on the syrup taking snaps too. Damn. Hey, Aggie Pride, the one, what's happening? This is what's interesting. about Jamarcus Russell. You saw what he was when because I don't think they won it. They might have won a bowl game. I don't think LSU won it when he was a senior, did they? I didn't think they did. So you saw the kind of body he was. Um, and then when it came time for the season, that was back when, that you was getting your bonus, getting everything up front. I mean, remember Sam, what was Sam's name? Bradford, all that money they gave him. And that got all the linemen mad, all the veteran linemen. That's why now the rookie deals are horrible. You're tied up with them for 4 years with a 2-year option. They can franchise you for 2 years, force you to be there. So, linemen 20 years ago screwed the younger players today by their own greed and insecurities. I mean, the offensive players is mainly what put the league, the butts in the seats. Not all the time, but. And quarterback has a lot of the most responsibility. Like a receiver, you go out, you just got to read what coverage you got to beat. As a lineman, whatever blocking calls is made, then you push to the call. Quarterback got to know all that. He has to know whatever receiver runs. He has to look at the defense and figure out what defense they're in. He has to check to see if somebody's about to blitz him. He has to hear the offensive call, because if the offensive call is change the blocking scheme, or he gives the cadence to change the blocking scheme, and then he has to move back while everybody's coming at him full. And granted, it is entertainment, but still, it takes a lot of thinking at one time too, when they do let it go. So it's a hard position, it really is. Yeah, he had an arm. He had an arm. He did. I mean, LSU, he showed that. But and maybe they did win it that year. I don't remember. I didn't think they did. I don't think they did. But he won a bowl or something. So, and that was back when the Raiders was my favorite team. I loved the Raiders for a long time. I've said before, the Raiders was my AFL team, and the Eagles was my NFL team. And I had learned about the Raiders before I learned about the Eagles, because my stepdad, we used to watch all the games. He was into the AFL games, though. And so I came in, and the AFL games had more brothers. And maybe that's why he watched them. I don't know. But I was into the AFL games. I didn't start loving the Eagles until, trying to think, maybe 5th grade when we went to the game. We went to see one of the ex-college guys and the guy from the town where I was born. One of the dudes that went to high school with my uncle, he made to the Eagles. And so we went to the game to see him, because he was going to be, and he was hurt, so he didn't even play. But Vern Davis, he played with the Eagles in the 70s from Western Michigan University. This cat was like 6'5", 6'6", probably a solid 230. Kind of built, a little bigger than Fred Williamson, but built, if you remember how he was kind of built. That's an old name, I know. But yeah, this cat, big cat, really big cat. And I watched the video. He got Grant Hill's daddy, Calvin Hill, ran into him, and his leg locked a certain way. I caught it on video, just watching highlights one time, and his leg was caught underneath him, and it destroyed everything in his knee, like really did. And this was before a lot of the knee reconstruction that he suffered from. And so, because they live near where we live too, but he helped me tremendously. But yeah, his knee really was devastating. I mean, his knee, there was no, like, you looked at his knee, there was no knee there. It was just probably overhealing, but like, no, I don't think he could bend it and he could still dunk. He could dunk on one leg because he was still hoop with us. Because this cat was close to 6'6", so he would still hoop with us, but he could only jump on one leg, and he really couldn't run because he couldn't bend his other leg. But he taught me a lot about being a receiver. Showed me how to make cuts and everything, which helped my basketball game too, because I could run a receiver cut on you, but be dribbling. That's how I have people describe it to me. They're like, "Man, you dribble and make those cuts, and that's all getting by somebody is being able to dribble and make a cut." So I was great at that. But it came from the football training, because if you can dribble a basketball fast as you can run, there's some people who do that, and it's easy to make cuts on people as long as you can handle the ball properly. Hey, Jim21, thank you for joining me. He had the Raiders gave DeMarcus a blank tape and told him to study it. They asked him if he watched it the next day, and he said, yeah, not knowing it was blank. Yeah, I think I heard that too. But I know they said, but why would they draft him then? Because they did that in, remember the draft with Kevin Costner about the draft picks and everything? They had put some money in the back, and all the people that admitted and gave the money back. But the one quarterback that was questioned, he didn't even look at the damn thing to see if the money or nothing. So it's like, they played Notre Dame. Okay, he played the one says he played in the 07 Sugar Bowl. They played Notre Dame. Okay. All right. Why did they draft him though? I still don't understand why they drafted him. He must have maybe did that after they drafted him. But that was the old Raiders regime too. That wasn't the new regime. That was the old regime. So it's interesting. It's interesting. But that's why they kind of changed the rules. But still, the bonus money is still the guaranteed money. So, I mean, it didn't change it a whole lot. And cats were still going to get, so much bread. But the contract, it's the worst union. Joe Montana and Lawrence Taylor, they have the worst union because of them two. They passed the picket line. The games that I was considering playing in. And that's what broke the strike. It was them two. And both of them was making pretty good money, but Taylor was, he was a fiend, so he had probably blew through his bread because he was even a fiend then. A lot of OGs like the Browns and the Raiders because of them accepting the black athletes. Yeah, well, yeah. Olympic scripted. Of course, you need breed. Did you hear about it though? The dude who ran the triple jump, the two-time Olympic champion in the triple jump, towards Achilles. He was at a meet somewhere and he tore his Achilles. I ain't write his name down, but he's the two-time Olympic triple jump champion, and he tore his Achilles. And we got the Olympics coming up in some months. So, and he's 30. Now, I tore my Achilles, and it take you longer. It take you about a year. Now, I couldn't imagine having to be that kind. And it was funny what he did. I don't know. I thought it was odd too, but they can't explain why you tear them. Like when mine went off, it sounded like a gun. It was that loud. It sounded like a gun went off because I'm in a gym but it still sounded like boom. And it sounded like somebody stepped on behind you. So yeah, that guy. But yeah, the Olympics are script. I mean, that's why they forced Ali to hold to light the thing when he was all shaking and shit. But the other part was, remember, Ali died right like in the he died before Olympics. He died before the Olympics. So you see the same kind of sacrifice. So yeah, they're scripted. I mean, like the 72 Olympics, the game is over and somebody just says there's 3-4 seconds left. How can somebody from the stands that ain't running the clock say that there's 3-4 seconds left? And the Soviets win. And then when LeBron and them was young, they lose to the Spanish, which was all propaganda to pump up those players, to make Americans want those players to come over here. That's all that was. That one. the Russian stuff, which one of my distant cousins, Ed Ratliff, was in, they ain't never take the medals. They told them to stick the medals up their ass. They wouldn't come out and take the medals. Yeah, he might be down. I mean, I'm just saying it's going to take him a year. It's going to take him a year. And that triple jump, I couldn't even imagine because, the kind of steps and pressure. And I don't know. It's like, I can't even say how he did it. It's like he took the first step. And then when he, got into planting to get the second momentum, something happened. And he kind of, came up lame. So, but he was able to walk, I mean, my foot went sideways. Like it wasn't nothing holding it straight no more. Yeah, 30. I used to have a neighbor whose favorite player was Grant Hill. And when he bought his first car, he told me he was going to celebrate by watching Grant Hill. The next day he got injured. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Grant Hill just, if you kind of in some ways looked at what was done to RG3, making him play while he was hurt, some ways the same thing was Grant Hill. Everybody was saying he was soft, and I don't know if the real thing about Grant Hill is in the first couple of years he was a storm. He really was. I would say Hill was better even than Kobe at first. He was probably, until he broke his foot, maybe his third or fourth year, I think his skill level was closer to Jordan. Bigger guy, 6'8". Bigger guy, 6'8", but with all the Jordan-like skills. I mean, do y'all remember Grant Hill on that, when he played the national championship game, the first play of the game? He caught it like near the top of the backboard and brought it to the hoop. Y'all remember that? He did that as a freshman. Y'all remember that move? Somebody threw it up high, and he went and got that sucker the first play of the game, and whoop. That was some bad shit. I don't know if y'all remember that. Duke. In track, they have the men and women running relays at the same time, men and women teams running together. I haven't heard of that. That's interesting. Wow. Yeah, Grant Hill was tough. I mean, he was, again, bigger guy than Kobe with all the skills. With all the same kind of take you to the hoop. He was the bigger Michael, comparatively. And I've told the story many times. Grant Hill, people in Detroit was not wearing Nikes. Not at all. Not during the Grant Hill peak years. People wasn't wearing Nikes. Everybody was wearing Filas. Chicago was Nike. Detroit was Fila. Like Fila tough. And I've said before, the coats. Like I hear a lot of people talking about starter coats. What about them Fila coats? I had the first generation Timberwolves starter. I'll admit that. I did. I was coaching, but I didn't know. I was grown. oh. Hey, Jeffrey. The long Halloween is coming. Yeah, Fila. I don't know about the shoes. I never had a pair of Fila shoes. That's one brand I've never had. Never had a pair of Filas. I want to say, I know I bought my boys British Knights. I don't remember if I had a pair. I got pictures of my boys wearing British Knights. my oldest, I bought him a pair of British Knights, and one of his baby pictures, he's got the high top British Knights. Y'all remember them, the British Knights? T-Wolves with the straps. Was MJ shot a push off? About those bastards that tried to kill you. But was MJ shot a push off? I mean, he was, because I think when they start to play, he's hand checking him, wasn't he? Like, I think the way they you could do this. So he's like this, if I remember right. It was a push off, but I mean, he had him. And gave him a little bit more momentum. So I would never call that. I don't think anybody would ever call that. I wouldn't have called it. Yeah, the game 6-1. I got a pair of Fila's in rotation now. Okay. Playing basketball, escape from LA. Okay, Jeffrey. So I don't know Unique Breed. I don't know if I'd have called that. That seemed like a good play. No more than what he did to Elo. Very similar. Separate. Little contact separate. But it was one of the like he had a chance, and this is like he says it didn't mess up his legacy, but he could have been the one person out of all the sports that could have retired with his last play causing a championship. To me, that is why they made him come back too, was because of that. Because he would have been the only one ever to walk away being a champion, and the last play you made won the championship. So do you see how they had to break that? And he had to agree. It wasn't no saying no. It's like you go out there and do the best you going, but you going out there. We didn't gave this, now we giving the orders. So because they didn't want that kind of power, that would have been. I don't think anybody could have ever duplicated that. Your last play, you win the championship, and then you go off in the sunset. That would have been the best retirement ever. But it wasn't allowed to happen. Wasn't allowed to happen. Hey, Amp, what's happening? Penny and Shaq. Penny was a beast. Penny all day. Penny over who? Oh, Penny and Shaq. But like when they said Penny had that micro fracture surgery, it wasn't cats coming back from that. So I never understood why he had that. Injury slowed him down. Same way with T-Mac. I mean, they never let T-Mac was up. Remember, T-Mac was up 3-0 and said it was over with the Pistons. And they let the Pistons win 4 straight games over. Remember that? Him and Yamin. Him and Yamin. Yep. Hey, what's happening? They should have had a championship. I mean, they got close. Because they beat Union and them. Yeah, they made it to the championship. And so they got it taken to them, though. I remember reading an article that said Hardaway said when him and Shaq left to go to LA, Hardaway thought he could average 50 a game. Like Wilt did. You know how hard it is? And you got to have some 100s and 80s and 60s in there for 80-some games. So, yeah. Hey, Adrian, thank you for joining. So it wasn't it wasn't just that easy. It wasn't an easy task. I want to say this. 2 stories. So the Cubs owner is mad because most of his people haven't taken the plunge. So the owner's mad because on teams where more people have taken the plunge, there's less restrictions. Of course, we know in Texas and Florida. So the owner at the Cubs is pissed because more of his people ain't taking the plunge. And then they were showing the Army people too. The Army people still ain't really all. They said most of the Marines is like they ain't with it. The second part is the Knicks. So most basketball arenas, they hold about 21, 22,000. I think the one here, the Target Center, holds about 22. The Knicks have sold out 2 games already, and they're going to let them have 15,000 fans in New York. 15,000. So it's going to damn near be the capacity. I noticed that the Canadian hockey games didn't have fans. As I mentioned when I started off, the Wild lost. The Wild started off 2-0 and then gave up 3 goals. Gave 3 goals in the second period. It's just like, man. And then I think they lost 4-2 because it was an empty net goal at the end of the game. But it was fans there. And they've been, hyping up the tickets for next year. The Twins been hyping up, come get the tickets, and the Timberwolves been hyping up tickets to come get tickets for next year too. So stuff is definitely opening up one way or another. So I want to bring that up. And then the other part I want to bring up that one of my friends told me about, and has anybody felt this? Because I think of people that participate with me. I know Crazy Sarge said he has taken it. Now, wanted to know if anybody else felt pressured at work because it's one of my friends that's an executive. She said in the corporate world, there's a lot of pressure to get everybody to be involved. So I just wonder if anybody else has felt that pressure as well. Uh, hey, Jay, thank you for joining me. D hoes. I like how you interact with the chat. Okay, Adrian, thank you. Uh, Jeffrey, what is you tripping about? Pandemic entertainment. Yes, sir. DMV foam posits. Yeah, my boots. I had my winter boots. My son just took them. Them is foam posit winter boots. I had the winter boots from '04. I bought them a long time ago. Yeah, no, I bought the winter boots. No, I bought them in 9 or 10, but they was the foam posit winter boots. Ricketts Cubs owner got to say after he said MLB owners would take a biblical amount of loss to the yeah exactly Jay exactly that's spike protein gonna has anybody heard Crazy Sarge? Maybe you can do this. They've been saying people can put magnets on their arms where they had it done, and the magnets stick to your arm. So Crazy Sarge, try that and see what you see. What? 60 seconds. Oh, okay, Jeffrey. Why are you tripping, Jeffrey? We're all okay. We don't mind you. If you need to vent, it's cool. Like you said, it's gonna be like the smoking section. Yeah, but I just wonder if anybody else has felt that corporate pressure. If anybody else got to be suited all day. What did I take? I mean, can you do it? Can you do it? Try putting a magnet. They say if you put a magnet, it'll stay where you had it. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true though. I'd like to see somebody doing it. I would lay you all the fucking down. Uh, Jeffrey, you're tripping, man. Why? Why are you tripping tonight, man? That's some bullshit. You ain't gotta talk like that. Hey Tatiana, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Yeah, Jeffrey was tripping on us a little bit. But let me know how that went. But Tatiana, thank you for joining me. The Magnus Facebook. Oh, they took down your point? Yep. Okay. There must be liquid metal. Well, of course, mercury. Mercury is liquid metal. Mercury is liquid metal. Uh, uh, I never got that. I'm not that crazy. Oh, okay. You was just joking. Oh, okay. I thought you was real when you said it the other night. Found I wanted anybody to check that out. If anybody, felt that in public, because that's what somebody called me this morning. It's like, it's a lot of pressure here, um, everywhere around. Like I was saying, I was in Walmart yesterday. There it is. They calling you on the PE. Remember those kind of stores like you had Kmart that had the blue light special. You be in there and all of a sudden the blue light is going and everybody run to see what special there was at the blue light. There'd be some damn Betty White pans and some shit like that. It's like all this for this. So, okay. Don't plan on. Let me read. I was asked several times. Let me see. I was asked several times by the manager if I was taking it. Then I tell him how my wife cousin got it and passed. Oh wow, Dread. Wow. Don't plan on getting it, but school is definitely putting the pressure on HBCs too. Oh, okay. I wonder if A&T is asking for it. I didn't even check because I got 3 or 4 of my teammates' children is at A&T. A couple of them is freshmen, like old as my son, my big head son that put his face in here every now and then. Mercury, never thought of that. More than Biden, I know. Well, and then the boosters, the booster thing too. You got to consider that. They're saying every year. It's going to be every year. I mean, like they tell you with the flu, every year thing. But yet it comes and they're like, well. So, Yeah, I don't know. I have to check. I'm gonna check and see if A&T is requirement. Because Tonti, I don't know, because that's where I went. I went to North Carolina A&T, and I'm not sure if they're requiring it now. And A&T is the biggest college. Um, wow, to do it. Okay, which school you go to? Which school you go to? I went to A&T. I saw somebody yesterday. This is a true story. Last night I saw somebody, and I forgot to mention this. They was wearing a Hillman shirt. I was like, and I told her, I'm like, you got a Hillman. You need to put that Aggie gear on, baby. She's like, well, I always wanted to. I wanted to go to HBC school, but so I bought this shirt. I'm like, let me get you an Aggie shirt. Represent the best one. I'm currently at Lincoln. Oh, okay. It's funny about Lincoln. One of my best friends still live down there. He still lives down there and works in the prison. He went to Lincoln. From my area, this is the funny connection. From my area, my best friend went there. One of my best friends, one of the quarterbacks went there, and one of the running backs. They went to a different high school. But then this is the funniest thing. My position coach, because my high school coach tried to screw me my senior year, so he sent the tapes of me playing defensive back, actually safety. One of the games I got an interception. But so they made me play defensive back at first, safety at first. And my coach, who was Coach Gentry, after the end of my freshman year, he went down there and was coaching Lincoln, and he coached my friend. And my friend, in the years he played, he had a new coach every year at Lincoln. So, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I got a couple people. Let me tell you, the cuz thing is an LA thing. Everybody knows that, calling people cuz. But I remember the first time I heard somebody call that to somebody. Again, I grew up in Michigan. And I remember I was at the park after going the summer. Oh, man, was it the summer of 78? Like going into I want to say it's because, yeah, them cats that came back from college, they was going to Lincoln. Matter of fact, I knew four dudes was going to Lincoln because I forgot Woody was going to Lincoln too. But he was the first one. He told some dudes, like, I know what time it is. What's up, cuz? I had never heard anybody say that. That was 78. And I think they had started saying in LA, what, 74, 73, something like that. So when I went to A&T, everybody, that's how people talk. I don't think an A&T was ever a gang thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. But that was the first time I'd ever heard somebody call somebody a cuz. And that came from them cats going to Lincoln. Because they was a couple years older than us. And I don't think when I went to school, it wasn't gang related to call people cuz. That was just kind of, I don't know, maybe it came from that. I couldn't say. Oh yeah. My guy, he still lived down there. He still lives down there. He was he was in the frat. I don't know which one. I know they ain't too happy with me, but I won't get into that. But yeah, that's my guy. That is some of my guys is down there. Uh, Murky's also putting the hollow point rounds. Yeah, that's true. I heard a lot of colleges making it. Here, I had to call my friend, my oldest friend here. He works for the U. I'll have to call him and see what he says. In Boston, people call each other cuz as well. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I don't ever think on the East Coast it was ever a gang thing. That's a St. Louis slang I hear as well all the time. Yeah. But yeah, that's how long ago I first heard it. So when I went to school, I already knew what time it was, what they were saying. It's like, okay. It's just funny. I picked up all that slang living down south. I picked it all up. I lived down there for 7 years. And my 20-year-old, he'll be 20 in a couple weeks. He's one of the few that he could hear my southern accent. So he would copy, he'd imitate. And it's just funny. He's literally just funny. But he could hear it. And none of my other children really picked up. I mean, some of the words, but not most. Not most of my slang and my cadence. Jay said, Morris is my blood. Okay. It's no problem. Thank you for joining. We talk about a lot of different stuff. Yeah, we talk about a lot of different stuff. I kind of go on the fly most nights. Okay. Time is cool. Not a lot going on up here. You see, they did have supposedly a ceasefire today. They telling us, the people supposed to stop. This is what, if you listen to what they said, we're going to reinforce the iron shield, but we're going to have a ceasefire. Did y'all check that out? Where some of the Republicans are saying no, let's hold on giving them more. It was like, I mean, they both stimulus, they got billions. And then they're talking about giving them hundreds of millions for this iron fence during the ceasefire. Did y'all catch that? Did anybody catch that? Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. I'd appreciate it. You can tame it down a little bit. I would appreciate it. Okay. I don't mind you coming and venting. I know we all need a place to vent. And you, like I said, you wasn't attacking nobody. You just kind of generalizing, but that's all right. Just be smooth about it. All the UFOs. I mean, come on, that stuff is going to be advanced military. We know that. Have you had a Native American in your blood? Yeah, my people are Wanaponkan, I think is how you say that, from the Boston area. We are basically can go back. Well, basically the rule is you can go back 6 generations from you, and 5 generations from me is a full-blooded Wanaponkan person. And his wife would have been 5 generations from me. His wife was full-blooded Sapani, which means Blackfoot. That's what Sapani means. It means Blackfoot. The area where I went to college in North Carolina, I'll take that back. The area where my ex-wife comes from is where one of my people came from that area, from the tribes in that area. So, yeah. I've told the story before. My great-grandfather said he was the 7th son of a 7th son, which made him the healer. And so I'm pretty sure he passed that on to me, because I actually spent time with him, and it's kind of how the magic is put by your elders. It's like the amount of time, but what's done in the time. And my mother told me a story. She's like, yeah, I'd go see, her grandparents, and she would hold you and you would both fall asleep. That's how she would laugh. She's like, yeah, he'd want to hold you and then you'd both fall asleep. You'd fall asleep while he was holding you and he'd fall asleep. And I just look at you both. And so, it goes back. But yeah, my people do. But this is the thing is, like we've even from my great grandmother's family, we even find her brother was actually getting money from one of the from the government because he was affiliated with one of the tribes. My great grandfather turned it down because he was the first brother that graduated from Michigan State. It was called Normal College, maybe, but we have his degree. One of the family still has his college degree, and so he didn't want the money, so she turned the money down. But her brother got it, and I think her sisters got it too. So yeah, I do. But yeah, the UFO stuff. I mean, like what you have to understand too is, I mean, the military. A lot of that stuff is military stuff, and of course they're going to bring it like it's something new when we say all the time, their technology is 100 years more advanced, 50 to 100 years more advanced. So it's like they hold technology. It's like what you would do when you get a patent. So when you build something, you just don't take everything there at once. You take this, but this is going to need this, and this. And so for you to remain, because you only got 10 years, 10 and 20 for some of the patents. So, but if you hold back some stuff, you see, just give them everything. So that's kind of what they've done to us. This internet is not speeded up for us. It was never for us. It was a way for them to communicate quicker. We're a byproduct. We get the byproduct of them being able to talk quicker. And if there is satellites, because this what has to make everybody pause. Now they're saying that the Tesla cats satellites are looking like stars, and they need to be painted different. That gives an argument for flat plane. That really does, because how do they look for people that study? How do these satellites that's just supposed to be in the atmosphere resemble stars that's supposed to be light from, we don't see the stars it currently is. The light travels so fast and so far, so we see the past of the light. But yet we seeing Matter of fact, on my phone app, they show like I've got this let's see what it's called. On my thing, mm, here we go. My star tracker, my star tracker. I don't know if it'll do it now. Oh, and yesterday I forgot. It was a lot of energy last night. I forgot to tell everybody. Yeah, it was a lot of energy last night. Yeah, so my star tracker will end up showing. They showed some of the satellites for the first time. It was a line of satellites. Yeah, because Saturn is in Capricorn. Trying to think what just happened. Neptune, no, was it visible the other night? In the morning, I think it was visible. I think it was Neptune was visible in the morning, and so was Jupiter and Saturn. Because what you're gonna see in the summer is in your should be in your southern skies. Yeah, in your southern skies. Yeah, America would be your southern skies. Let me get this right. Yeah, behind me. Yeah, southern skies. You'll see not as bright, and then you'll see Saturn, which is brighter. And so they play kind of a game all summer, and then sometimes the moon goes in there. And like what I like doing is when they all create a triangle, or sometimes all of them create a triangle. And so what is cool when you see that kind of thing is, how can I describe this? This might not be describable. Okay, I'll just say it the way. Okay, you can throw your consciousness into those type of spaces between the triangles. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. And that is a different experience too. That is a different experience. I can't say that your experience will be the same as mine. Again, no one's uh, gauging up to me, but I'm saying that is a way to get an experience if you pay attention to that kind of thing, because it's just the way the planets align with that. There's energy there that can be tapped into. That might be the best way I can say it. You can tap into that, and that can give you quite a bit of awareness. That's all it is. Quite a bit of awareness. It's going to be a crazy hurricane season. Tell you, I talked about last night. We missed the tornado didn't come this far. Luckily, the sirens went off though. The sirens went off, but it didn't come this far. And I know that 1 inch hail wasn't too far from us, so we was right on the path. Luckily, it died down. Hey, Barbara, thank you for joining. Watch the 52 updates Zach was teaching. Okay, okay. Project Bluebeam, yeah, dope. But it's like that synthetic movie, when that was on Netflix about a year or two ago, and this synthetic kept having the flashbacks of real life, and then they capture one when the war starts, and he's like, "You're like us," and he's like, "You guys are fake. We were the real people, and the synthetics drove us off." And so we already see, um, you know, I, we already see non-human life forms walking around us. I mean, and I'm not saying UFO stuff. I'm saying that stuff been here. That stuff been here. So I showed a picture. I showed a Facebook picture. I ain't seen her picture since I showed it on here. I don't. And how would she know? I got 5,000 people, but I showed her picture. I hit her name, or maybe I didn't. So, but I haven't seen her picture since I showed it. But she's definitely not here. That picture I showed a couple weeks ago. So, but that's been here. So it's nothing to trip about if they say, well, he came from so and so and so and so. And so we should already see what they're going to do next. That's going to come, and then they're going to say that's the God complex stuff, and that's going to start a new religion. It really is. It's going to start a new religion. People going to start believing in that. Hmm. Hey, Anise, thank you for joining me. Oh, thank you that you made it. South Carolina African American culture for Geechies. Oh, okay. Uh, Come on, Jeffrey. You don't have to write that. That's a little much. Oh, you gonna do it again tomorrow? I don't believe in anything. I do not believe in anything. I only know. So I don't believe in either one. I only know what my reality is. Now I've talked many times before, we want to have a real discussion about flat plane. We all have to be put our consciousness into flat plane. Most people's consciousness is not there. So a lot of people, this is the way to hear it and understand it, is understanding that the building block for everything comes from this. As far as what we physically are on top of, everything is basically comes with this. I mean, it's all around us. I'm looking at the computer, that shape. These pictures are circles, but not these. See, we're around nothing but triangles and squares. And that's a reality. And so, what was I saying about these things? We're already saying that the 26th is also the day at a time. The 26th might be the end of one sun and the new of this new simulator that's been going. So the 26th is the day at a time. The new Mayan calendar, well, the 13-month calendar starts. On the 27th will be trying to think how to switch. Have to think about that. So I only know, but I can move back and forth through both. Oh, this is a pyrite. Sorry, pyrite. Fool's gold. Fool's gold. Naturally occurring. You can get 3 or 4 of these, be all together. Be 3 or 4 of these cubes. It's like if I want to talk to you about Divergent, I'd have to start throwing the fractals out there so you really could even understand me. And I'm just talking about something you can't really, this helps to visualize when you see Divergent. To understand when I talk about Divergent, this helps you understand. And there's more I would explain about it. The more it would start seeping in a little bit. There's a little seed in it that like popped the interest. This would feed into that seed. And that's why I say, you want to speak flat plane, it's easier to have that type of consciousness and bring that into it so people can understand it and hear it. Because it can be argued both ways. Both ways can be argued. So I only know. Zach O'Brien said, watch out on the 26th. Yeah, well, it's the day out of time. Bryson, excuse me. It is the day at a time. But no, that's not hematite. This is the hematite. This is specular hematite. This comes from Michigan. I think it's only found in Michigan. My other big mirror is made out of this stuff. But this is the type of hematite. Very grounding. But no, it's pyrite. Fool's gold. But that's the day at a time. I mean, it's a celebration for me. That's why I say on that day, definitely watch Rufus Thomas singing the breakdown in the Funky Chicken. Because it's the day of the dance, really. It's the day of the dance. You could look at it as Hero Twins, the day of the tournaments. You could look at it where, the Hero Twins would schedule the tournaments with the gods to fight the gods, to play the gods on a continuous ball field. Because it seems like their games were sometimes pretty intense. One of them got the heads cut off during the game. That's called intense to me. Oh, Mocha. I didn't see you. You in here? Okay, there you are. Hey, Overstand Mocha. Thank you for joining. Well, I'll say this, Jeffrey, answering that. You would create that. People create such a thing, as a good or the God, because they don't understand that God was a person. German, that was a person's name. They don't understand that. So people create that. That is the highest consciousness that a person would have. Like instead of a person, learning their own spirituality, they take the spirituality of the church. and then they turn that into belief instead of spirituality. It becomes blind belief. Like one thing I was gonna say that's kind of similar, like and one divineness kind of reminded me of this. I just was listening to her one time, and she brought this up, and she was saying like, because she would deal with angels and stuff, and so she would call on to these angels, and then there are certain little cues because all the time an angel just ain't gonna pop in with full wings and everything. There are little cues of energy that you would get to recognize, and then you would feel a certain kind of way. And so the more you would work with that, the more you could recognize which energy, as you call these energies, in which energy it would be. And but she described it as sometimes like a little flash, and that is very much so when you work with crystals. Crystals, as soon as you close your eyes, crystals will start saying hello to you. You'll start seeing flashes. That's why sometimes wearing this stuff, I have to take it off because I don't know what is saying hello. I kind of like to know that contact. So sometimes I have to take stuff off so I know it's just the crystals that I'm working with. But it's a very similar thing. It's from what her perspective, how she described that, very similar as into bringing in the crystal energy would be kind of the same. But it's something that you create, and from creating that, that's how you move through. I mean, we know the churches are a business. Like I heard a guy that was a preacher one time, and he said a good story. And the story was, maybe I should tell both stories. So he was so cheap that he forgot to bring shaving cream. He didn't want to pay $8 for the shaving cream in the hotel. So he was like, "Can I just get a handful of shaving cream?" Remind me of the remember Chris Rock and how much is the Coke? Well, can you put it in my hand? But anyway, the story goes they was having a big church conference, whatever, outside in the stadium. And he said it looked like it was going to rain. And he said all of them prayed and the storm moved by. Now, is that possible? Is that possible? All these people, these believers, got together and said, is that possible? What do y'all think? Yes, no, maybe? Hero Twins, Batman, Superman. Hey, Kim, thank you for joining me. Key. Hey, Key, thank you for joining me. I look as if we all came from the darkness, then everything had to be created from a black hole. That's a good point. That's a good point. Because what is it? Neutrios come. They run away from a black hole. They are born on the outsides of a black hole, and they're one of the few things. Neutrinos, excuse me. Neutrinos are one of the few things that can move away from the black hole, and then once they go, there's nothing that can stop them. The neutrino is almost like property, like a time crystal, especially the energy as it goes, but there's no way they can really catch it. They can just see where it's been because it can go through everything in the planets. Nothing can stop a neutrino. Light can be stopped and caught. Light can be stopped. Neutrinos, there's nothing they know of that can stop a neutrino, but it goes away from those black holes. So that's a good point, but I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little more. Did the dragon's blood ever tell you its name? Yeah. It's right here. Yes, right here. I said it. It called itself Momo. It called itself Momo. I was sitting with it, and it called itself Momo. And Momo's. I don't want to tell this whole story, kind of sad story, but that's what it said, Momo. So yeah, named itself Momo. And as I say, all of them don't tell you their names. Like this one I've had. This one ordered itself and sent it to me. Um, and it's never told me his name. But when I've gone, pulled out my bag, and I'm moving through space time, this has showed up and it's in my bag. It joins me. But this is Chairman Fred. But it's never really talked to me like that. It just, when I move, it's there. It's like I'll show up somewhere and it'll be like right there. I'm like, let's go. Or I'll look in my bag and there it is. Like my mirrors and that skull be in my bag. You know how you see the, do I have it with me? Nah, I don't have any of the Omen books around me. One of the Omens, he shows the Kundalini movie now, but the Kundalini being Quadriquotro also being part of a Yanni, but he also showing you got the bag. So he's showing you that all this is in here too. So remember, take your bag with you. But yeah, they called me. They called itself Momo. That was one of my guys. Uh, thanks, AJ. Hey, dope. How do the beings from other planets look? Are they more like spirits or are they body form? The non-humans I've seen look just like us. They just got characteristics that I don't know. I've been able to the girl I showed you. She looked more like a synthetic. The girl I showed the picture of. I think she was more of a synthetic. She had more of the synthetic look. But and again, synthetic is technically a non-human. I think that's what she was. But they look like us. I mean, the Yannis were ship shapers, shift shapers, shit shapers. What if I just kept saying that? Billie Jean can shit shape, but shift shapers. That is a very old thing that Yannis have been able to do. So that doesn't necessarily, if a person was able to, shape shift, that doesn't necessarily they mean that they're non-human, but they use that same thing. The non-humans use that same type of ability to. And Wes Paneri tells one of the better, maybe it wasn't even Wes, but where he saw, maybe was that Wes Paneri? Maybe it was Wes. Maybe it was Wes Paneri. You guys got to get into it. If you like any of the Anunnaki stuff, West is more your guide to stitching. West does a way better, less slanted than stitching. I'll say that. But anyway, Wes was saying, and I've said this before, Wes was somewhere in Europe, and he said he saw this thing that looked like a rhinoceros wearing a dress with a hat on. And he said nobody else noticed it. And he said it was across the street, and he was just sitting there like kind of, not trying to just stare, but he's like, well, damn, it's a rhinoceros wearing a little straw hat walking down the street, and nobody's noticing. And he said the rhinoceros looked at him and noticed he noticed and just kept going because nobody else did. And he was like, well, damn. And that's kind of when I run into non-humans. At first, I could catch the panic in them. It's a little panic because I could see them. Like, I ain't need the glasses. But I'll say this. Last few years, they see me and know it ain't the same. It's like, okay, you see me, motherfucker, what? I mean, really, that's the looks I get now. You see me, motherfucker, what? They just move. There's no panic anymore. It's like, okay, you one of them that can see us. Okay, but what you gonna do? I'm gonna run to the Walmart people and like, hey, call the cops. Hey, go talk to her. There's something up with her. She's what's wrong with that guy? So it's better just to watch than just, see what's next. How do I control my ADHD and hyperactivity? I can go for days without eating or drinking. Don't get hungry. Are you taking the medication? Did the medication do you that, or is that from years of taking the medication? Because when my children used to have to take that shit, it was hard to get them to eat. My youngest still kind of hard sometimes to make him eat from years of taking the medication that suppresses the system. It's the type of speed they give you. They give children speed, and it does the same kind of thing. So, I can put together some crystals. Definitely, it's some crystals that'll help absorb that energy, and kind of turn it into something more positive for you. That's why it's like if you have something to concentrate on, it would help you. Running would help you. Boxing would help you. So you have to burn that energy off. You have extra energy, so you have to find a constructive way to burn it off. Even walking, it sounds like you're going to have to work it out some kind of way. Video games will probably help you just as much as to get that. If you are into video games, will get some of that energy out. So, oh, and this was the magnesium I was taking. And I tell you guys, I didn't really have a lot of hope for this, but this does really well. I mean, it really does. And I know I got the strawberry champagne, but this really does well. It's 2,500 milligrams. I take a bunch of medicines, but I get this gets sore in here, and I just take a dab of that. I was having like all day this finger, and I just took a dab of this, and I should have put it on sooner. And I still got to mess with stuff. It's just part of the arthritis to keep my hands moving. That's why I'm not hyper, but my hands get to hurting, so it's better just to this is taking the job to absorb some of my pain, so it doesn't mind. So me, it's not that I'm hyper, but this helps my hands, keep them active, keep them not from falling asleep. So I was gonna do a skit. I was gonna do a skit. You guys ever? This is the funny stuff. I had a girlfriend, and she used to wear rings on every hand. And I was gonna say, well, this is the only time I was ever gonna do something in drag was imitate her. And like she would have rings on every hand, and she was like so meticulous the way she took off her rings. She put them like all in order, all like neat. And then the way she would dip lotion, it would just crack me up. She would put the lotion, most dudes just like you just lotion everywhere. She was no. She would put a little bit of lotion on one hand and she would work the one hand out. Then she would work the palm. Then she would put more lotion and she would do each hand like this. And then she would kind of do her hands like this. And then when she would put her rings on, she would like really kind of stick her arm out like y'all know sometimes when you watch be too heavy and you kind of let it slide down to look at it. She would really kind of do that, but to put her rings on. I was like, she would stick her arm like this, and then she would put it back. Each ring, every time she would put a ring on, she would stick her arm like that, and she would put it on. And it was just watching her. I would just like sit there and just the whole routine was so funny to me. And I would tease her and she would pay me to mind. Again, it takes strong people to be around me. But I think that's funny. Just the way she would take her rings off as you put them all in order. I always wanted to just slap them and let them go on the floor. But at the time I had paid for a couple of them. So no, I wasn't going to try to lose nothing. Street Sabre. Yeah, but I'd be smelling like that Savage, and Savage is very distinctive. And here I've got the notes of strawberry champagne. I think it kind of blows what I was trying to achieve. But this stuff is good. I mean, I even smelling like, but I am really impressed. Now I've never done any flower or resin of just straight CBD. Never done it. So but this is effective. So I'm going to get the bigger bottle. I got a bigger bottle that's 1,000. I want to say 1,000 milligrams. So I know this brand appears to be very effective, and that's why they outlawed hemp and everything. It was they didn't want the competition. I mean, the paper companies didn't want the competition. It was a lot of companies that didn't want competition. The only thing they allowed was rope. For ships. Anybody remember climbing up ropes? Anybody that old? We're in junior high, you had to climb up to the ceiling. In all those years, I've never heard of one person that got killed. And there wasn't nothing but little mats. You had to climb all the way up to the ceiling in the gym, and they only had mats like this big. If you fell, that was it. That was your ass. And it wasn't that I was younger. I had to climb that same damn rope as a 14-year-old because where my junior highs was 7th, 8th, 9th, not 6th, 7th, 8th. I didn't go to high school till 10th grade. They later switched it. My brother went, but not me. I was in junior high. But I just always looked there, and I remember I pointed that out. I was like, Coach, if somebody falls, these little mats ain't going to keep them alive. And he just looked at me. I'm like, they had to go up there and get people. There'd be people that would freeze and they'd have to help them down or get ladders and shit. So, yeah, Jeffrey, you really got to work out and find a way to burn that energy. Lift, put some weights at the crib. Because, yeah, that's why video games would probably burn a lot of the energy off too. But work out, work out, walk, burn that energy off. You feel it, burn that energy off. Ride a bike. I tell you, if I won the lottery tomorrow night, my first purchase is going to be one of the Bombas electric bikes. Those things are so damn fun because you can still pedal them. It's like you don't want to just zoom on it; you can just pedal them. But it's the amount of I don't know. They're fun, and some of them got a nice range. I only live about 25 miles from downtown Minneapolis, and some of the range is like 3 times as that. So they just seem like that's going to be the fun thing. Like I remember when scooters come from Vietnam. I don't know if people remember that kind of thing. Like the scooter thing we saw in the mid 80s to late 80s to the early 90s. That's a Vietnam kind of thing. I don't know if people know that, but that's when they was popular here. It's raining outside here. That's when they got popular in the 80s. And there was scooters that would do 80, 90 miles. Like Battle Creek from Kalamazoo, you'd see gangs of dudes because it was a back road that was near the fort. And you could go from Battle Creek to Kalamazoo about 20 miles, and it would be groups of 30, 40 children or older people and ride 20 miles because it's, again, most of them would do about 80 miles per tank. And so those gangs of people that would just be on the highway with them scooters. Scooters was everywhere. Say I'm 42 and I can seriously run a 4.3. I would say Daryl Green was still running like 4.3, 4.4 when he was in his 40s. So you can still fit your high school clothes. Yeah. Yeah, Adrian, they are real cool. Yeah, my daughter fits my basketball jersey from high school. I saw some of those electric bikes online. Yeah, they look fun. I was in one where I got my daughter's bike fixed. This lady had won one. This thing is about $3,000. I asked the guy how much that one. He said, "Yeah, this was about 34 because they sell them too. They got some about $2,000, about 1,800." But he's like, "Yeah, that's one of the best ones we've seen." And she won it some kind of auction when I got my daughter's bike fixed. She had won this electric bike. They was like, "You got to be." They was like ours will slowly get fast. She said, "Not that one." They say after we fixed it for you, we had to see. And he's like, "That one you got to pay attention to." He's like, "That one will take your ass off." I saw one of the one-wheel motorbikes, unicycle today. That person was doing about 20 or more across the intersection, keeping up with traffic. One of my goofy friends, Goofy Dave, he brought one last summer, the one-wheel unicycles. I don't know. He might have been going faster than 20 because Dave would just shoot up and down because our street is about a mile, maybe. Like, because I live really on a connecting road from two highways. I live in between two highways. And so if you go to my southwest is one highway, you go to my northeast is another highway. So I live right between two highways. And so it's about the connect between from where my part of the street goes. Yeah, it's about a mile. And so Dave was just shooting. And this is some little hills, and he was killing it. So yeah, I can see that. That's why I hear people talking about they want the electric scooters. No. People, when these bikes come more affordable, people ain't gonna want to stand up. And it's funny, it's taking the place of what was the little wheel thing the mall cop had? It's taking the place of them. They thought people was gonna love them, and the shorter one was more popular. Now they bet their money on them that people want to stand up and ride electrically when people want to sit on bikes. And they got some of them bikes you can do in the snow and stuff, got the fat tires. Somebody went by me with the fat tires yesterday. You can get them with the fat tires. It takes the weight away a little bit. But no, they're not cheap. The cheapest one in this area is about $1,800, and that's before taxes. And they're pretty decent. You can ride them. Yeah, I guess. The Segways. Now the Segway stores sell electric bikes because there's one next to my mom's where you could rent the bikes. And what's cool is like where my mother lives is the path that I could take. Like from her house, it ain't nowhere. From her where she stays, it's nowhere. It's a trail that goes directly straight to Minneapolis. But I live across the river, so I have to. Eden Prairie is where I could hit the trail, but it would be easier to hit it where my mom lives, and then I could take it straight to Minnesota, all trail, and go around the lakes. It's two big, pretty lakes that are in the middle of the city. We have park police here. It's like we have bus police. That's just for the buses and the trains, and we have park police. I remember I played a game with some cats, was hooping, and all these cats before the games, all of them stuck their guns. They put their guns in the trash cans. And then the park police came in, and they all ran, and they all grabbed their guns, and they all took off running. They broke up the ball game. And my son was like, "Dad, where do we live?" "Where do we live, Dad? All these guys we playing against got these guns." I'm like, "Well, I like the electric bikes. They are dope. We just have the police. Yeah, we have a bunch of police up here. That's why I don't understand. This is the thing I don't understand about Florida. Now, my old channel, before they took down my old channel, I did a game from the Final Four. Now, 2 years in a row, we had the Super Bowl and we had the Final Four. Now, I showed a video of all the army of police that we had here in Minneapolis. We have the riot. What are they called? What is that agency? I'm trying to think what the agency is called. But we had that agency here, like the terrorist agency. So when I went to the Super Bowl stuff, this stuff is everywhere. This stuff is everywhere. And then when I went to the Final Four, that Sunday, they had some things for the children. The children got shirts and balls. It was just something I found out, and it was just able to kick it. It was free. It was basically free, and they gave the balls. But anyway, there was an army of police. And I'm looking at like, where did all those police go when the Floyd thing came? Now, maybe because of those two events, it was reinforced. But when I went to the Final Four thing, it was an army of police. And I mean an army. So when I saw the Floyd thing, I'm like, how's this possible? Again, park police. Park police. Train and bus police. Train and bus police, and then we had a regular police. Those forces that's here. If you live in Minneapolis. Now, I can't say if St. Paul got park police. I don't really know. I don't spend a lot of time in St. Paul. St. Paul is the older part of this area because they was in St. Paul first. St. Paul is older than Minneapolis. I tell you, you want to know how people bought land? If I could show you this part of land this cat bought, is unbelievable. This dude owns so much land from the Mississippi River. It goes. I don't even want to start capping. This dude owns so much land that it almost went 30 miles. Because there's three separate, he owned what would be considered 5 suburbs. 5 suburbs. Can you imagine that? He owned that much land. That he pretty much owned 5 suburbs. Kind of wish I knew how to do it and brought the map up and I could show you all that he owned. It's just mind blowing how much, once they pushed the Indians off the lands, how much land people were given. Savage is named after a cat that owned all this stuff around here after they took it from the natives. He owned most of it. And like they gave the natives the little corner lake, little pond, and they took this big lake that I live near. Prior Lake is not too, I live a couple blocks from the lake. Well, I live about, I don't know, half mile. It'd take me probably 6-7 minutes. It'd probably take me 15 minutes to walk to it, but in the car, probably I'd be at the lake in 3-4 minutes. Pretty quick. I live very close. My daughter lives a lot closer, but I live very close. But somebody, owned all this stuff once they pushed in. It's like, yeah, you go stand in that corner. We taking this. A burger for it would be called Death Mountain. Where do you rank Paul Mooney as a comedian? I don't know. And it ain't, the Richard Pryor thing, because I already know what their thing was. I studied Richard Pryor. So it ain't coming from that. Writing as a writer for Rich, he helped him. Writing for other people, not so much. Not so much. But did he help Richard Pryor's genius? Of course he did. Like one thing that you watch is it's not live on the Sunset Strip when Richard Pryor wears that pink like thing. He messed up the first night and Paul was trying to help him with the jokes and stuff. You catch that, those outtakes, you can see Paul was trying to help him. So a lot of that material, Paul. But like when I used to always hear him saying the spells, don't get it twisted. I mean, I know it's old dude trying to be cool, trying to be, saying the modern stuff, but it's a spell. That's a spell too. Like the end of the day spell. It's a spell word. But I don't know. Did he crack me up? No. Was he funny? Yeah, sometimes. Some of the stuff. It's like that Pierre dude was saying that he was saying all this stuff about him, but it's like this dude was like really paid off by these cats. So this dude is like really into what they into, you know. So I don't know. I don't know. I thought he was humorous. I can't really say that I found him all the time funny. But helping Rich, yeah, he did. He did. And just the history of comedy that he was around too. You got to take that in consideration. That's a lot of them stories that, about comedy that just is gone now. And his boys, I think they older than me. I was looking at the twin dudes. Yeah, them boys got to be older than me. You know what? I This is something I used to do. This is something I used to do. Um, Again, I was always kind of a fire Soul Train historian, and I had noticed the two people that had been on the California show the longest. Now, not talking about the Shabba-Doo dude from Breaking. He started. He wasn't on the show in Chicago, even though he's from Chicago. He was never on the show in Chicago. He came on the show in the early '70s. He's one of the very few rerun. You can catch rerun going down the Soul Train line too. That's why if you look at Wastat, you see all the people that they kind of highlight. Even when they show the goddess that's taking over this chick's body in the movie Wastat, even she danced on Soul Train. So there's a lot of people from Wastat that you see was the early '70s dancers. But I remember these two. I knew they were the oldest, and they both started. One started in '76, and let me see, one started in '76 or '77, but she was about my age. She was slightly older. And the other dude, I think, started in '78. One dude, she danced 12 years, another dude danced 14 years. But I had noticed that. But it's another dude that danced 20 years. He danced on Soul Train free from 1981 to 19 to what did he say? 81 to 2001. He danced. And I was like, oh, you was on there the longest. The other two came on before him though, because he didn't start till '81. They both started in the '70s. But I noticed both. That was looking like, especially the dude, because the dude, like, when you go up, you get put on the risers and shit. This dude would be on the floor. I'm like, you a veteran and you on the floor like the beginners. Oh, okay. See you. Thank you for joining, Crazy Sarge. Maybe you have a pleasant night. His sons look older than him. Oh. Hmm. Paul wasn't Richard or Dave. His Chappelle show was pretty funny. Yeah, Negro Damas. Yeah, that was some of his skits though. Some of that stuff was his skits that he was calling himself Negro Damas. He had used some of that. His sons look older than him. Yeah. Yes, definitely wellness, Crazy Sarge. These comedians always get real when they get older, but cover because they could have always comedy without sucking. I don't know. That seems to be what's the way it's set up though, and it's about power. Like when they was asking, the guy was like, "Oh, uh oh, uh oh." When I'm dreaming about you, let's make my dreams come true. Don't wake me up. But anyway, that dude. Sorry, every time I think of that, I have to sing that part. But that dude supposedly was giving neck to Puffy, and when Puffy talked about it, he said it wasn't about humiliating. It was about power. He was doing that kind of shit because, again, that's what he would have to do to Andre Harrell. You can find the sister to tell you about when Puffy was doing that to Andre Harrell, giving him neck in office. So, again, I told the story about Richard Pryor was abused as a little boy by a teenager. And he tells you himself, that he was like, I was the only one in town doing it to this whatever, this trans person. He says, I was the only one in Peoria who was fucking trans. That's what he says, in Richard Pryor's own words. So that wouldn't end in Hollywood. We know Rich was Mason too, so none of that stuff ended. None of that stuff ended, so he fit right in. Remember what he was showing in JoJo Dance was showing his wife in a threesome. He's busy supposedly snorting coke, and this dude, doing his wife with a threesome. uh, Most wives would just sit there next to you. They wouldn't go find who's the people giving them attention, but apparently, because that's supposed to be Jennifer, the one that he was with when he died. And I know I was this chick on Facebook. We was going at it, or not Facebook on here on my other channel, talking about Pam. That was my jam. Oh, um, I did watch Wild Stack on PBS a couple of years ago. That documentary had me all kind of feels. Richard Pryor. Oh, Richard. That is some of the best. That was my like the first time I heard Richard Pryor. It was a double side album. Red Fox was on one side, and Richard Pryor was called Pryor Going Fox Hunting. So one side you got all Red Fox jokes, the other side you got all Rich. But the first one I owned was Wastak, and Wastak, like if you even Google Richard Pryor Wastak, you can see his thing. His shit's funny when he gets to shooting dice. The part where he's shooting dice, I put that to a mix. I have music playing while he's shooting dice, and I mean, I grew up around that kind of stuff. My father was a gambler. When I was little, him to get out the house, he would take me to the gambling joints with him. And my father was that like wasn't nobody gonna say nothing to me. Like we played cards. That's why to this day I really ain't a card player because I was forced to watch my father play cards. That was our like that was my weekend spending time with him was in the gambling joints of the card houses. So I really never got into cards. I like shooting craps though. But that was the first I went and it was some kind of thing. I think my mother had to buy it because I was fairly young. I was like fifth grade, but it had some of my favorite songs. It had some people are made of plastic. Some people are made of wood. Some people have hearts of stone. Some people are up to no good. But baby, I'm for real. I'm as real can get. And if what you're looking for is real loving, then what you see, the Dramatics, that was my first introduction to the Dramatics and Ron Banks. Yeah, but the Richard Pryor stuff is so funny. It's a Four Top song. I love the whole album. I mean, I've loved those songs forever. I need to download that stuff again. I used to have the album. But I love that album and the little Richard Pryor bits on my old channel. I got to re because that's the thing I hate most. I don't care about the videos. They killed all my music from 14. All the music I collected from 14, they erased it. Cards and Dominoes. There you go. We used to have the record, and I would listen when mom wasn't home. Super funny and still holds today. Oh, but all Richard Pryor, his early albums, because that's where we moved up to. It's like I was spending the night with my friend whose daddy was a 33-degree Mason and whatever the equal. His wife was an Eastern Star of the same rank. And they would be gone all the time because they would be going to the lodges or going out. And so it would be just me and him chilling. And they felt better because I'll be there with him so he wouldn't be by himself. This was before I moved up the street from him, but my aunt lived, one of my aunts lived across the street. Oops, sorry. So family was near. But he would get the albums and we would listen to the albums. And like Eddie Murphy said, we all knew the stuff by heart. We all knew the stuff by heart. I mean, we really did. Eddie said he would do it in front of his family members. Eddie said the first time he went into a club, he did Richard Pryor's act. And I've told when I saw Eddie Griffin about 3 years ago, Eddie Griffin did a Richard Pryor joke. That's why when Sly was saying that it ain't nothing new. Corey Holcomb trying to say he owns that. No, people been doing that, but it's been done. But here it is, Eddie Griffin doing a Richard Pryor joke. All the comedian knows it's Richard Pryor, but a lot of people ain't old enough to remember and recognize Richard Pryor jokes. So, and there's a lot of them out there. Good old music, sweet music. Yes. Thank you, Anise. That is cool. I forget to say that too. Oh, it's time for the divination. Time for the percolator. Time for the percolator. Time for the percolator. I always wanted to do a movie on a person like took some acid and freaked out, and then for the rest of his life, when he heard the song, he just would start boogieing and start dancing and shit. Oh, this is what I was gonna say is I was listening to my cousin Narda was interviewing a dude who played drums for BB King for 30 years, but he also was picked up by Johnny Taylor, and he said something I had never heard before. Even my cousin said he hadn't heard it. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the song that goes, it goes, shake 'em up, shake 'em down, move it in, move it around, disco lady. And Johnny Taylor, that was his biggest hit, was Disco Lady. Like when I got recruited to play at Florida A&M as a ninth grader, that was the song when we went down south, and I'm partying with college girls and shit. And I'm only like 14. But something I didn't know about that song, that's Bootsy Collins playing. It goes doom 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 doom, and that's Bootsy Collins, and I had never known that because the drummer that played for Johnny Taylor, there was a drummer. He was interviewing the drummer. The drummer's like, "Did you know that was Bootsy Collins?" I'm like, I never realized that was Bootsy either. So, interesting piece of history. Oh, so we are, I think we're day 12. No, 13. So 13 platoons, 0 platoons, 8 tunes, 9 Uno, and we are in 13 Ken. And 13 Ken would be Ben Skywalker, Pillars of Heaven and Earth, Aspirations for Uniting Heaven and Earth, Principle of Growth of Higher Mind. And then we have Ben. That's the Mayan fractal for those that want to absorb the fractal. And then the Toltec. Again, the Toltec were never defeated by the Europeans. The Europeans, the Spaniards came in and said, look, just take our names. We'll quit fucking with you. You can keep your lands. And that's what they did. And so the name I use, Eight Wind, his people still live on those lands. They just had to change to some Spanish names. In this card, we see the image. We see the reed as Mother Earth protecting the human beings. She is dressed as a quasal bird, which represents beauty of nature. On top, we see the reed that has been used to build a ceremonial arrow. The reed is a plant that starts life being small and fragile, but later becomes a strong, long pole. Even though in that initial stage, the reed may seem weak, the potency of the igniting fire is always there. It will always grow, become strong, eventually provide light through burning. The other source of the reed's strength comes from its flexibility. If the reed is too rigid, strong winds would break it. Your life can be seen as being like the reeds at the beginning, or even this moment of your life, which is the beginning of what you have left. Because when you are born, that is the moment you start to die. I don't know if people realize that. The moment you are born is the same time you start to die. You are that much closer to death when you are born. It's the beginning of what, but your inner fire is there waiting to be released. The human being is just like wood. It only gives light when it is burning. This is telling you that the best of you will only come out and illuminate the world when you are able to put all your passion in doing something you really care about. Do not forget that the fire is there within you all the time, just waiting for you to know what your passion is and find your willingness to embrace it. But your strength will become nothing in an instant if you are not able to nurture it, sustain it with a level of flexibility. The hallmark of the reed is through strength and flexibility. That is why it prevails. The reed card is inviting you to visualize the situations you are going through as facing strength of the wind. If you are too rigid in your approach, you can break, and meaning no good will come to the situation. And the energy, let me see, I prayed to the east today, so the energy has to be to the north, to the north. So, am I emotionally too rigid? Am I becoming emotionally weak? In what way would not being too rigid or too soft help me heal myself or someone else at an emotional level? How can I be flexible in a certain situation? It's a good practice. Again, if you practice that kind of, like I say, I call the 360 camera. That is one of the best ways to get another point of view. It's like a person is trying to, like I was saying with flat plane, this is how it works. When the flat plane person asks you, they're asking you from being in the round plane. I mean, there's no way to get out of that. So for us to be able to experience what they're experiencing, to really hear them, I really think it's beneficial to put yourself in the cube kind of thinking. And then you might be able to hear and understand what they're saying because it can be argued either way. I've said before, that shit with the moon don't make sense. So I can put a 24-hour camera, and this camera will show the moon moving, but I'll stay out here all day and I won't see it turn one time. I'll just see it go by. When you go by, it's the same picture. It's the same picture. So wouldn't I see it change just a little bit if I watch it for 7, 8 hours? Wouldn't I see a half a spin or something? Always be the same side. So billionaires go against the elites, and how often do they have for them to approach if you make your own money? All them people you see out there is actors. They just actors. Not to say they can't spin, but they spin with the act. I mean, like the rap clown saying he wearing millions of dollars in jewelry, and then he's sitting with $1 million. How believable is that? What practical person just sit there with that much money and wear that much jewelry? You only do that when you are in costume. You're in costume. So you see the rap clown in costume, but they know where he's beneficial. They know young people won't want that. The Who I Smoke, that the Who I Smoke Society look at the rap clown and they're impressed by that. We as elders look at that shit and we ain't impressed. So what? You that stupid? You really that stupid? So it's like nobody can look at the live and say we know where he at. Let's go get him. Untaxed. Disco late in the 70s was fun back then. Prop money. There you go. Prop money and jewelry and cars. It's all prop money. Oh yeah, the disco lady was you look up Johnny Taylor on Soul Train and watch how the Soul Train line. This is 76, 75 or 76. I want to say the spring of 76. Disco Lady was the shit. When I went to Florida, it was Disco Lady and Tear the Roof Off the Sucker. You got a real type of thing going down, getting down. There's a whole lot of rhythm going round. Oh, we want the funk. And then the Hoarding Horns is gotta get that, but all on the one. It was a way you'd even dance to the one. you know, actors act money. There you go. That's it. He's just a clown. He's a character. Like I was saying with George Clinton Bootsy. Bootsy's Bootsy all the time. The rap clown is the rap clown when he's on camera. Ah, but beautiful weekend coming up. It's supposed to be almost in the 80s tomorrow, in the 80s on Saturday. I had my son I was trying to get him to do a little hustling for me. He's like, "Well, Dad, we're going on the boat Saturday," and I'm like, "Well, I'll come before you go on the boat." And it's funny being, young. I mean, I admit, I've told the story. I worked with a clan. Clan dude was worked my job. We hustled after his job, and I kept a cases of beer in my fridge. It's like all beer, hardly any food. I even had just beer stacked in the corner. So dealing with him for a while, I would say years, but I didn't need beer because I just had to. When I would hustle, he'd pay me a bunch of money. We'd go to three different properties. He'd level it out. I'd throw seed and hay. The cat would give me $300. We worked maybe an hour and a half. And then he would always take me to his house, and he wanted me to eat his wife's cooking for some reason, which was okay. But I knew going back to the house when he took the tractor back that all that beer was in there. He didn't drink beer. I was like, "You mind if I get some beer?" And then I'm like filling the car up. It's like my trunk is full. He's like, "Just take much as you can." He said, "Fill your whole car up," and I would fill my car up with beer. But my days of drinking, I read an article that said that alcohol kills gray matter. And it says alcohol can be just as much responsible for dementia as a lot of other things. That's kind of making me pause. And again, losing a relative that drank a bottle of bottle, two bottles, 2 or 3 bottles of wine for 20 plus years, and then that causing her demise eventually. Um, as much as I like beer, that's why I've been buying the bottles instead of getting 12 packs. I just buy a bottle or so because limits the amount. So I'm kind of even toning down myself because think of what a hangover does. Hangover is actually killing gray matter. It's one of the few things that will kill gray matter. So, uh, crazy thing is, people my age and under be believing the dudes talking about all the crimes they did. And I realize if in real life they be locked up like AR and AB. Yeah, though that's a thing. But it remember CB40. Remember what he said. Do you talk about women? Do you grab your Jews? Do you have guns? Remember in CB40, that's what they were showing. I mean, that was the formula. I know a lot of folks make fun of the conscious people, how conscious and self destruction in New York, and a lot of it was also looked at as um, Pan Africanism. A lot of it was, but it wasn't disrespect women, trying to kill so we can shine, that kind of thing. And one thing that most people, if you're 25 and over, the who I smoke is your enemies too. That who I smoke generation, this generation is again, we looking at the grandchildren of no, we're looking, yes, at the grandchildren of crack people. We're looking at people that had children during the crack era that wasn't really raised, and we are looking at their children's children. And for some reason, I'm not very comfortable. Imagine if I was ever in a lecture hall and I'd be like have my leg on this big thing. I still have not found a chair that's more comfortable, that's where I can sit with my leg right. This cushion is a little lower, so. But maybe I'll take off my shoe. No, that might be a little better. But blackety black, y'all. There you go. No, the funniest thing is like, don't sing it, and I can't wait for the sweat on my balls. That shit was just that shit was bananas. There, they chasing them and shit, and they singing it. So Chris Rock, he was seeing it, and they made fun of it properly. They made fun of it properly. But we look at the LA thing, that was the opposite. And you really have to look at their rap, how their rap went from Egyptian lover. Remember, Egyptian lover, Uncle Jam. You even had Sir Mix-a-Lot before My Posse's on Broadway, before Big Butts. Posse on Broadway. That was another, East West Coast coming, the music coming there. And then all of a sudden it's, they talking about the hood shit, which kind of was going on. Again, Snowfall, CIA backed gangs and the gang war that the CIA had their hand in, and not just the CIA, the local departments. They had their hand in everything. So we're seeing the same kind of communication and thing today. We're seeing the same kind of thing in this. The crime is getting worse. It is not spontaneous. It is not just young boys wild. We can see from that Who I Smoke song that they would even put some shit out there. Do you think if a young European dude did a song like that, it would have got as much play? Showing the amount of young Europeans that they're saying was killed because of this kind of thing. Do you think that would have been popular? Do you think it had ever been shown? So do you see the psyop in that? Why it was allowed? I mean, that's going back to what I was talking about Kwame. Kwame's burning a lot of bridges. He is burning a lot of bridges. But you notice he ain't saying nothing about the sports being fake. So do you see what I'm saying? Some of it is still within the guidelines. Because that was my first question. Okay, you saying all this? Talk about the fake sports. Don't talk about just these people tearing brothers down, which they do, and that is, but it shows you a character almost. Why wouldn't you expose it all? Like he exposed Michael Jordan, saying Michael Jordan wasn't shit and picked on him, and we already knew Michael Jordan was a bully. And you notice they didn't put none of that shit in Michael Jordan's documentary last year about how he fucked over Kwame Brown. He talks about that part, but he don't talk about the sports being manipulated. So do you see how he's still on code? Do you understand that? He's still on code. So when I hear that, he ain't telling the whole story. So give me a second. I just got to stand up. Oh, yeah. Okay. My foot won't get comfortable. It's like when I go to a chiropractor, I get cramps really easy in my feet. So it's like sometimes I have to, like when he starts giving me acupuncture, I have to kind of do my feet so the cramps don't come in. Because with all them damn pins, you really don't want to move. But they're gonna let you say so much. There you go, Key. That's it. I can't stand those old images of Dre out of my mind. The difference in his clothing, hair, and fashion before NWA. Well, it was like people like think about it like this too. The Fat Boys was called the Disco 3 at first. They wasn't called the Fat Boys. They was called the Disco 3. So when they first started, even the B-boxing was in a disco kind of environment. So, but yeah, so that went more into Egyptian Lover though. That's kind of how like, well, what did Charlie Murphy say? And I know some of you California cats, but California cats was looked at as soft. Like I remember hooping there when I used to hang out when I was playing football. It was like I couldn't believe just the mentality of me coming from the East playing ball. I'm blocking a dude 6'8" shot, and he called him foul. And I was a Bogart type of player. I'm like, nah, you ain't getting that. I beat your shit. My ball. Bet you won't take it. Let's go. My ball. But they was them kind of cats. But even the dress was very, 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 very suspicious type of dress that was out on the West Coast. Like you hear, I would like you watch the documentaries of Soul Train, and I remember Questlove was saying we was looking at the clothes. What the clothes of people from Soul Train? You got to be kidding me! Wasn't nothing I ever saw on that shit was newer than what we was wearing. Like even the dances we was doing was newer than what the dances they was doing. Let me see a dance some of y'all like the Cabbage Patch. Do you know we wasn't even doing it anymore, and they started doing it on Soul Train. It was like it was an old dance by the time you saw it on the film in the Soul Train, and they was doing it. So it was like it appeared like we was doing the East Coast before they was doing it. Hey Mark, thank you for joining me. That was the image shocked me when I saw the Easy was dissing him. But that was kind of the group. So he just look up Egyptian Lover. He had his hair whipped. He wearing makeup and shit. So you can see they had some help with bringing that look in, which in a lot of ways was just imitating the Black Panthers. Except the Black Panthers wore the leather coats, and they wore the Tams. They wore like the Tams, and they replaced the black Tams with the black baseball hats. Same glasses. Black Panthers was the one that would wear the dark glasses. Look in the yearbook. Like I don't know about the yearbooks in California. Again, they dress different. But during the Panther party, it's probably the same. Like I would look at yearbooks from the 70s, like 68, 69. You know how many people, and even younger, like again, the high school I went to was 10, 11, 12. You know how many people that would take pictures with the sunglasses representing the Panthers? That was kind of a thing. 69, 68, 69, 70. You were seeing people taking their senior pictures wearing these dark glasses. Easy in them. So that was to me a copy of the Panthers. The Oakland Raiders gear or Los Angeles Raiders gear, all black was nothing but to me a continuation of the Panthers. Looking back at it, that's because the glasses was a Panther thing, no doubt. So that's all they did. They just adapted a new Panther outfit. And they was talking about that they made the Georgetown stuff. No, That stuff was everywhere. It wasn't just they was liking it. But one thing that was real is Chicago. You could only wear your hat one way or another. Yeah, it wasn't no neutral. It was one way or the other. Gary, it was one way, and if you went a few more miles into the city, it was another way. So I didn't like wearing hats in Chicago unless it was more gangster-like hats, dress-up hats. Uh, what's been happening, Mark? Thank you for joining me. What time is it? Okay. All my friends know I normally don't go to bed till about 4 o'clock my time, and yet they all want to call me. And then when I think I'm going to get some rest today, I've got this baby man running around, waking me up, asking me stupid shit. I'm like, you woke me up for that stupid shit? So I was not catching up on a lot of sleep. I used to work with a dude from Nepal. He's come in like, I didn't get any good sleep. I didn't get any good sleep. And Netta, what's happening? Thank you for joining me. Hey, so nice to see you. So nice to see you. No. I'll think of something else. I was gonna do that, but I'll wait. I'll wait to give that energy out. Next week though, definitely. I'm trying to think how we're gonna do it because next week full moon is going to be a blood moon as well. I want to be in a good. Probably gonna. Got to see what time I can do this because I want to be in position to take some good pictures. So I'm gonna go to my mom's. Her place is one of the best places to see a blood moon, and so everybody, connect to that energy. But the 26th is also going to be the day out of time. So that is going to be also a special day to manifest. So another thing is, if it is, I'm still doing investigating, but again, it could be the end of the new sun as well on the 26th. So that's a consideration. So it is going to be, the 26th is going to be a lot of energy. I'm not quite sure. Wish I could play I might have to learn how to, so I can, for a little while, just play the funky chicken and the breakdown on this. I'll take the copyright strike. I don't care. Because I know pastimes are the day at a time is another day to dance to. That's the energy you're going to want to do. That'll go into to the rhythm of the new what's coming in. Is also the day of the dance is another way to look at it. So. And I remember years past trying to get people together. Yeah, it just didn't work out. Trying to get my neighbors, and my neighbors were just like the most. I don't know. I'm trying to do some stuff, and they're just like, I don't know. It's just funny. It was like too funny to even put it out there. I was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. And I had a group of people helping me, but it's like, yeah, I'm not getting anything done. So, hi, I am not a wrench. Vanetta 6, according to Mayans, yes. Vanetta, I have to go back to YouTube. So I have to go back on YouTube because I made most people wrenches. I did a show on YouTube a couple days ago. So next time I go on YouTube and not on this, I'll make sure I give you a wrench. So, yep. So I will give you a wrench next time. Maybe tomorrow I'll go on YouTube instead of going on this. But then it takes off my reversal of the world. It doesn't matter. So if I remember, I'll try to go on either tomorrow's. Yeah. So I'll try to make sure one of the next couple of days I'll try to go on that so I can give you a wrench. Because I made most people wrenches on there. Yep. Oh, she said yes, you are. PJ said you are. He said he saw a wrench. Okay, because I gave most of the people that are with me the most. I thought that day I gave almost everybody. But PJ says you have one, Vanetta. So I hope you do. But let me know if you don't, and then I'll try to go back on YouTube again because it's funny. This thing is funny. This thing is funny because again, when Kwame was going on, I didn't even notice he had 15,000 people watching him. And then once he noticed, they revved it down to 12,000. Then he pushed it back up to 14. But when he noticed it, it's no way 3,000 people just stopped watching. It's just no way. It's like be really 3,000 people just fell off that quickly. That shows that they was artificially trying to, trying to hold it back. But again, he's showing you that depending who you are, your status, you don't need to pay a lot of money to do this. He's doing it off the phone. He ain't even got his phone sideways. He's doing it like that. So, but oh, you can take mine. Oh, you at work right now. Oh, oh. Mark says I'm a night owl. Oh, next time I'll go off. If you don't want it, I can take it off next time. Oh, but I know you work nights too. uh, but I'm a night owl too. I go to bed. It be the birds chirping and shit because the sun comes up now. And now since it's warm and I had a fan on, I don't shut my shade all the way. The sun just come in. So it is gonna come in the morning. Like I mentioned, it was storming the last couple of days. It rained almost all day today. So, but I am starting to get a little tired. My legs getting a little. My foot's not comfortable, so I'm not gonna let it hurt. And I've been going for 2 hours, so probably smooth. I finished. I will finish like this though. Again, the energy of the black tourmaline. I'm giving that crystal energy out now. And I'll start with this simple one. It absorbs negative energy and affords excellent energetic protection, enhancing your physical vitality. You adapt, adjusting to new places and situations. You have clarity of thought. You analyze situations rapidly. Let go of over-consciousness, but stay protected. You sense when people wish you ill. You may be carrying, recognize the negative thoughts and actions that harm others and yourself. Strengthen your protection, consolidate plans, and be realistic. You'll soon see the way through obstacles. Ensure you're well protected. And this is from Melody's book. It can be used to both repel and protect against negativity. It acts to protect one from being victimized by the negative energy of another. It has also been used as an excellent deflector, being an excellent stone for those with potential for exposure to excessive amounts of radiation. It provides for increases one's physical vitality, emotional stability, and intellectual acuity, and can maintain one's spirit even in conditions which appear to emit the messages of doom and gloom. And it further awakens the altruism and enhances practicality and creativity as a protective stone against spells which are cast by negative sides of another. It is a special stone. So black tourmaline quartz not only dispels the spell, but energizes the victim and actually increases well-being. It's used with mica, returns the spell to the originator source, allows ones to view the sender of the negative energy. It also is also used to activate grounding between chakras and the center of the earth, providing for further enhancement of one's well-being on the physical plane, protecting against those in the spirit world, in the physical plane. So not a bad stone to have in your bag. His book has a picture. Is one of the premier stones of our age. It has the ability to transmute and purify negative energy, turn into usable energy. So you can take this negative and shugite with it too, really, and then you can use it. So these people, even if they're trying to energy vampire on you, can take that back And if you could want to, you could feed on them and say, okay, that's how you want it. Let me take some of your energy. And that's might be looked at as a negative, but it's the possibility. Um, it actually protects one's energy field against attachment, entities, and energetic debris. It is also electrical gemstone. It can be used to purify and regulate the electrical and other energetic systems of the body. It is especially used for those who experience high levels of stress at their work and home lives. It can be used to affect. It can be used. I have used it effectively with clients to counter excessive stress and worry or obsessive behavior. It is grounding and is one of the most effective stones to use for creating a grounding circuit with the Earth's energetic field. The grounding circuit, this grounding circuit is increasingly important as we strive to adjust ourselves to the Earth's shifting electromagnetic field. Unless one is well grounded and attuned to the planetary energies, these shifts can increase the feelings of stress and negativity. By utilizing the supportive energy, one is able to easily move into alignment with these subtle energies. It provides path for a grounding light to enter the earth plane. This alloy helps one disengage from obsessive or compulsive behaviors and releases chronic worry and anxiety. Helps purify the body of toxins and waste. It can support the cleansing of heavy metals, environment pollutants from the body. I banish, and the affirmation would be: I banish all negative attachments within and without. I am purified and grounded and centered upon this earth. So I give that energy. As you know, my saying is, I give freely, which I do. It's got to be over here somewhere. So thank you, everyone. Uh, Thank you, everyone. As you know, I always end with Eshan's poem. So I'm not a New York rapper or LA gangbanger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, everyone that sees this now, that has spent this 2 hours with me. I appreciate you. And I do. You've helped this channel grow. This has only been 5 months. And yeah, it's going to be where I need it to be. So I am 8 Wind. Till we meet again.